In a small, forgotten town nestled deep in the woods, there was an old legend about the Mirror Man. No one knew his real name or where he came from, but the stories said that he lived inside mirrors,
watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. Every house in the town had a mirror, and every mirror was a potential doorway for the Mirror Man. The townspeople warned their children never to look into a mirror for too long, lest they catch a glimpse of him. It was said that if you saw the Mirror Man, he would see you too, and once he saw you, he would never stop watching. One autumn night, a curious teenager named Sarah decided to test the legend. She had always been skeptical of the town's superstitions and thought it was all just an old wives' tale. She stood in front of the mirror in her bedroom, staring intently, daring the Mirror Man to show himself. Minutes passed, and nothing happened. Sarah laughed at herself for believing in such nonsense, but just as she was about to turn away, she noticed something strange. Her reflection didn't move. It stood there, staring back at her with an unsettling grin. Her heart pounded as she realized the truth. The reflection was no longer hers. It was the Mirror Man. His eyes were cold and empty, and his smile widened as he raised a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. Sarah stumbled backward, breaking the trance. She covered the mirror with a sheet and ran to her parents, but they dismissed her story as a bad dream. That night, Sarah could feel eyes on her, watching from every reflective surface in the house. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah's behavior grew more erratic. She refused to look into mirrors, avoided reflective surfaces, and rarely left her room. Her parents grew concerned, but couldn't understand the terror that gripped their daughter. One night, Sarah's mother heard a soft, eerie whispering coming from Sarah's room. She entered and found Sarah standing in front of the covered mirror, her eyes wide with fear. The whispering grew louder, echoing in the room. Sarah's mother ripped the sheet off the mirror, determined to prove that there was nothing to fear. But as she did, the reflection in the mirror wasn't her own. The Mirror Man stared back at her, his grin wider than ever. He reached out from the glass, and before she could react, he pulled her into the mirror world. Sarah watched in horror as her mother's reflection disappeared, replaced by the Mirror Man. He waved at Sarah, a silent promise that he would return for her. From that day on, Sarah was never seen again. The townspeople whispered that the Mirror Man had taken her, just as the legend foretold, and to this day, in that small, forgotten town, no one dares to look into a mirror for too long, fearing that they might catch a glimpse of the Mirror Man and become his next victim.